want.
What's up, YouTube? FatKings Phil coming at you for week 29 of 2020 for my 7-year VSG update. Today, 7 years ago, I had surgery, and that's a long time. A lot has happened in 7 years. A lot of things have changed, a lot of things have not. So I've been taking notes for the last couple weeks, just kind of thinking about this coming up. And I can just kind of tell you my experience has been, especially as I kind of feel like I'm, basically fading into the sunset a little bit here in this community, in the sense of now that I feel like I've had my plastics, my goal is really just fitness goals at this point. So I'm not going to be checking in so much, as often rather, with just weight related stuff. And it's going to take a long time to move the needle in fitness. So really I'm becoming more of a fitness oriented person, period. So, and that's kind of been really the reality of the last few years, but with the plastics, it kind of dovetailed into the whole, changing your body. And I don't think there'll be any big shockers here if you follow people who've been out here for a long time. But a lot of those folks have stopped posting, and I totally get why. I mean, I'm kind of at that point. I get it. I've gone through this feeling before. I always felt like there was just a little still undone. But let's talk about some of the things I think still go on for me today, and some of the things that if you're a little earlier on in the journey that you might want to incorporate and or just realize as you're moving forward. So I would say the most important thing, as I was thinking about this over the last few weeks, is that especially if you were big your whole life and had, the surgery and lost the weight later, or lost the weight later, period. You didn't necessarily have to have surgery, but you've decided that that was something you did later in life. So the fat kid versus the, somebody who got heavier later, and not that either one of those challenges is any less, but if you've had the mentality and the outlook of a lifetime fat kid, this journey is going to probably bring a lot of stuff to you more oddly in a mental and emotional capacity than it will in a physical capacity. Physical capacity is a big deal. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of things there, but you have to keep the mentality of that you are kind of always going to be a fat kid walking around in a normal person's body now. And what do I mean by that? Well, you've got a lot of the mental things, whatever drove you to overeat, or whatever your specific wounds were that caused that, or even if it's just your metabolism, you usually have a slow metabolism. Your metabolism is still going to be slower than the average person. I mean, I think, I have both pieces of that, I think, to some degree. I have to monitor them both. I mean, I still, working out 5 days a week, and we'll talk a little bit about my current workout status, but, when I was working out 5 days a week and eating 1,400 calories a day, just to trim body fat and maintain muscle mass to get ready for plastics. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like a man my size just sitting should be eating 2,200 calories a day. Even if I ate clean 2,200 calories a day, I would gain weight. I just do. I know this. I don't have to even pretend that it's just something I say. It's so obvious to me. It happens every single time. And it doesn't matter what the food is. I mean, granted, it's a lot easier to get there with bad foods, quote unquote bad foods. But even clean food, I can do it. So that's that. So I have to live with that for the rest of my life. That's not going to change. It doesn't change after you have plastics. It doesn't, like, that's always going to be there. And I think as you age, I mean, you're going to even get a little bit more of that just from the sense that, your metabolism is going to slow down. So I wanted to keep that in mind. And that's why I think it's still really important that when you get to your goal weight, I would think, this is normal, pretty normal. You get to goal weight, you're going to jump back up about 15 pounds, 10 to 20 pounds, basically, from your lowest point. It seems like that's pretty common among folks, and they kind of get this new set point right around there. If you want to move the needle from there, you really have to maintain, and even if you really want to just keep the needle there, you're going to have to really maintain tracking your food. It's so easy to start eyeballing stuff, but if you think that you could, I know what 4 ounces is, go ahead and, or I'd say use grams. I'm a convert, but let's say you say, I know what 4 ounces of chicken looks like. Okay, go ahead and put 4 ounces of chicken in a plate and then just throw it on a scale and see if you were right. I think you're going to find out real quick that food sneaks in real quick as your restriction kind of goes away. It's really important to make sure you know what you're eating and how much of it you're eating because you're going to always have this challenge. The mental piece of that, you're going to have to go do the work for that. That's a whole nother set of work. I certainly would liken it onto, and I've seen people in the community, I'm not going to name names, and if you think I'm talking about you, I'm probably not. If you're curious, you can ask me privately. That I see them self-destruct all the time. I see them start off with the best of intentions and they do really great things. And within a few days I see them be, emulating behaviors that they just said that they wanted to stop, or eating things that they said that, they weren't going to do anymore, or they're drinking more often. I think we've all been there and had those challenges and those addictive, I don't want to call it an addiction, but those kind of addictive behaviors, whether you're looking to, replace some kind of pleasure thing in your life, or you're feeling bad about something. So you used to go to food. Well, now you don't want to go to food. So you go to something else, or maybe you do go to food, or whatever it is. Like, you're just trying to patch over the top of a bad feeling with just a dopamine hit. From food or booze or sex or whatever it is that you're looking for. And can that be okay once in a while? Sure. I mean, I'm sure that there's some mental, I'm not a psychiatrist, go ask one, but I'm sure there's some mental benefit into self-medicating once in a while for those kinds of things. But I think when it becomes habitual, and you're doing it all the time instead of dealing with the problem, you're just using this as dealing with the symptom. I just see it enough in this community, myself included, to where I've had to police that a little harder in myself. You do you, boo. So those are the two pieces of the puzzle I think you're going to always have to work on for the rest of your life. Like, I expect to have to work on that for the rest of my life. Now, whether or not you get into the fitness piece of this, or you just did this purely to just, lose some pounds and be healthy. I think a lot of us do get into the fitness piece of it because we now can do things with our bodies that we could never do. Like, I can do things, at least I could 6 weeks ago. I can do things with my body I could never do before. I mean, the fact that I grinded my way up to body weight pull-ups and then weighted pull-ups, I mean, that was a huge thing for me. I'm super proud of that for myself. I don't care if anybody else knows or anybody else cares it's cool. But I care it's cool, right? So, and I've just seen some people do some amazing things in fitness, like, people who were super big folks who now, if you had not seen them ever before, you would think that they were athletes their whole life. And so there's different degrees of that. Like, people who are on the extreme end of, like, holy crap, they went from one extreme to like poster children, to people who are in between, or, in different spectrums of that. But I think for me, the consistency of wanting to be as strong and as fit and as healthy as I can be, through exercise and eating, is really just something I'm like, it's my new hobby. It's weird. Like, I'm like, okay, by 50, I want to be in the best shape of my life and be able to do things like I could never do before. And I've checked a lot of those boxes, but I've still got a year and a half almost, or a little less than a year and a half to get to that goal. And I'm going to keep pushing after that. Like, I want to be that guy who, whose body is in excellent shape, as he goes into his later years. So, I do know, you're going to be fighting age, and I'm trying to get the head of that curve, right? So I didn't have all that in my 20s. I didn't have all that in my 30s. So I got it pretty early in my 40s, and I'm just trying to maintain and increase upon it. So that's kind of like, I think you need to understand where you want to be with the fitness piece, and not everybody's got to become a runner. I certainly am never going to be that guy. I'm never going to be a runner. My body's not cut for it. I hated running when I was 360. I hated running when I was 330. I hate running now at 225. Yeah, the skin piece, getting plastics. I mean, you guys know I was never really super hot on the idea. I played with it. I toyed with it. I thought, maybe. And I think I kind of took the same route that, I think it's Tanya's old VSG. It was Tanya VSG, or, I don't know. It's Voodoo Queen now. I couldn't possibly understand who gave her that nickname. So she had plastics much later, in her journey. I think there's some value to that in the sense of getting and maintaining control of your weight and understanding, and getting and maintaining control of your body composition before you do that. Do what's right for you. I can certainly say I'm a little bit older. when I made that choice. So maybe that has a little different thing. If I was a young woman who was in her 20s, early 30s, had, gone from being obese my whole life down to being, super lean, and had a lot of loose skin and wanted to feel more feminine and wanted to have all that stuff, and felt like that was really weighing her down. And I think you guys can understand why I might have that opinion. But I would say, yes, you should do it right as soon as you feel comfortable and ready for it. And I think that there's plenty of good cases for that. I've seen a lot of women in this community who did that, and they feel wonderful and feminine and beautiful in themselves. And that's the only reason to do it, to feel good about yourself. It doesn't really matter what other people think. I mean, I hated my loose skin pushing my pants, down and spilling over the top of my waistband. I hated it rolling my underwear band down every time I'd have to go in and adjust it and stuff like that. It would just drive me nuts. I'm still swollen in little spots there. Even at, it's almost 7 weeks now. I'm still swollen there. I still get a little bit of that and it weirds me out, but ultimately it feels like nothing I've ever felt before. Like it feels so tight. And so I'm starting to kind of feel it. I don't know that I really accepted it or kind of like could get my arms around it at first. But now I think I'm kind of getting there. That being said, I'm super frustrated right now with the inability to even do my old workout at a reduced weight level. That's been really messing with my head this week. I did get back to working out. And I'm like, yes, finally I can get that fix back and get that endorphin rush back. But I can barely get through the workout that I was doing with, weight on my body, like plate carriers and all these things jammed in the backpacks. And like, I'm doing push-ups with all this extra weight and I'm doing pull-ups with this extra weight. My abs are still so sore. I can't do a lot of the pull-ups. I can't, the push-ups for the planks to push up. I couldn't do it. But I'm thinking that's mainly because of my abs, and I'm hoping that as those heal up more, I will snap back faster. Today I actually feel pretty good. After 3 days of working out, I was super sore Monday and Tuesday. Well, maybe Tuesday and Wednesday rather. And today being Thursday, I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm kind of going into my workout here. Well, after I finish editing this video, for the day, and then I'll have one more for the week, and I'll get through as much of that as I am, just pushing myself to get through it and take my time and go slow. And I'll do that for as many weeks as it takes to get back to where I was. And then at that point, I'll start figuring out how I'm going to move the ball forward, working with my coach. I'll rehire my coach and kind of get back in a position there. And then, I'll come back at you guys. Probably when I see my plastic surgeon again, I'll probably post some plastics photos before and after, with all the swelling gone finally. And then as I kind of increase my muscle mass and stuff, or shape my body a little differently, I'll jump back in and say hello. I might be on Instagram more, just here and there, more sporadically, but as far as making YouTube videos, we'll just see how it goes. I wouldn't look for me every Tuesday, let's put it that way, which is normally my posting day. The last 7 years have brought a ton of huge life-changing events for me. I've spent a lot of time on this the last week, especially. It's a lot to take in. I mean, I've had experiences I didn't think I'd ever, let me put it this way. I've had experiences I didn't even know I was missing. I've had heartaches that, I didn't know I had dodged, so, I've had challenges. Like I've had my belief system challenged in certain areas. I've had to restructure my thinking in some things. I've the whole 50 Shades of Phil joke, that Kirk VSG back in the day kind of came up with. I used to be a very black and white guy. And as I got into living with this new body and new attention and new abilities and new desires or at least having access to say, wow, I really could go do X, Y, Z, whatever now with this body. I think, that brought with it, a lot of gray, and I was not comfortable with gray. I was very, there were rules and it was all black and white. Still a pretty regimented dude, still pretty, you don't iron in your, you don't iron your moral and ethical codes just kind of haphazardly through life. It gets put in there for a reason. But I think I do have a little bit white. My blinders are a little whiter, and I do have a little more grace, in there for other things. So that's been the biggest thing. I've had some amazing friendships that last to this day. I've had some amazing romances that, I definitely grieve. I miss them. But I've stayed friends with all those people. yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate. At the same time, I'm like my life before, being married and all me and my kids living with my ex-wife at, all in one place and all that stuff is, that had to go by the wayside. And I've struggled and really hard to keep everything as normal as possible for my kids. And I mean, my kids are older now, but still, even at their age, I still keep it very, try and keep everything going and the stability and, maintain a good relationship with my ex-wife and, you know, co-parent there accordingly. Yeah, we still grind each other's nerves, but well, at least we can, go to our separate places afterwards. And it's not like we intentionally do it; it's for just different people. Um, but yeah, and so that was a hard loss. I mean, also in those 7 years, you know, I think it's simple to say I probably lost the greatest love of my life in that 7 year period as well. So, um, you don't, life's funny. Life is just, it's not fair, boys and girls. I'll tell you that much. You roll with what you got and then try and learn the lessons along the way. Um, but yeah, lots of opportunities. Like I said, I didn't have before. Lots of barriers. Just I used to think I imposed on myself. I maybe they were just imposed on me through size or whatever. But yeah, just things I don't worry about. I mean, it's funny. So I was thinking, okay, what are some of the things you do now that you never would have done before? Like as far as just even being comfortable with. Um, Shirt off at the pool was never a big one for me. Even, I mean, I just had plastic, so that probably will change now. But shirt off at the pool that was a tough one. Even after I got lean because the skin was still there. And even if I could properly, pull everything up and stand perfectly still, I got more comfortable with it, but I wouldn't say I was never ever comfortable with it. I think now, um, I'll probably be, I mean, I've pushed the ball. I've pushed things as far as I feel like I physically can with surgeries and working out. But I mean, I can still improve with the working out, but like I'm not having any more plastics done. I'm not trying to improve. Well, no, well I got the skin here and I got this here and that there. And like, no, okay, that's it. We did this. This is as good as it gets. Nobody's walking around photoshopped all the time. There are no filters. There are no Instagram filters in real life. And maybe it's a little easier as a man because we don't play around with those kinds of filters and things usually unless we're trying to be obnoxious. So, it's funnier when when we do it, we're trying to be funny. So, yeah. So, I'm not 25. It doesn't really matter. So, there are other things that I'd rather focus my attentions on. Um, yeah. So I think the other side of that coin, that I was thinking about, given talking about age, um, all the experiences I think a lot of people have in their 20s, early 20s to maybe late 20s. I started much later in life. I had a lot of those experiences much later, and I had a lot of them that I should have really, like, I mean, I did a lot of things that were, part of the brochure, as I like to call it, go to school, get a job, wife, kids, picket fence, dog. I followed the brochure pretty well, for especially for a big guy. I mean, I did all right. Owned my own company, all kinds of fun stuff. So, but I was kind of, back then we were kind of, because we were such responsible guys when we were younger, my best friend and I, we were chasing, the things we had not done in college. I think when I got thin and I had all these other opportunities open up to me and these activities that we could go do stuff and have fun and go to these events and hang out with these people and party and like all the things I didn't get to do. I think that, I kind of had a lot of those experiences I should have had in my 20s, in my 40s. And, some of those things came with some harsh learning lessons. Let's just leave it at that. And I think that the later in life, you have more to risk and you have more other people that could be impacted by, bad, I don't want to say bad decisions, but like missteps. Let's leave it that way because you didn't know better. So yeah, so those are the things I think the last 7 years has brought to me. As far as right now, still working on my mental health. I hate to say mental health. It's more emotional health. Working on my emotional health. I mean, obviously this year's not been good for any of us. I don't think it has helped me. I think I'm starting to kind of see some silver linings in this year, oddly enough. But it was a good year to like be laid up for plastics for 6 weeks because I mean, I couldn't get to the gym anyway. There was no gym to go to. I was already working from home, so I could work from home easily enough, even when I was, on the second week of my recovery. Um, it just seemed like all things in their time, right? But being said, I'm anxious, I'm angsty. I can see myself kind of wanting to seek out those, like I was talking about earlier, those short little pleasures, those little dopamine hits. So, I got to kind of police that a little bit. I will say another weird thing that hangs around my brain anyway is, it's weird because I weigh every day for just fitness reasons, which sounds weird, but just to track, hey, throughout a 12-week workout period, what does my weight do from a day-to-day, week-to-week thing? And I'm not really weighing in for like, it's not that I'm weighing in because I care about the number, which I'm about to contradict that in the sense of like, there is still this weird thing in my brain where when the number's down, I have more value. And when the number's up, I have less value. Like and I'm aware of it. So it's not like I let it run rampant, but it is definitely a piece that's still rattling around from, I would say probably the early stages of all this and maybe even before that. Right. So I don't know if that ever goes away. That's my point. So if you're still feeling it, I think own it and realize that that's not necessarily true. When you catch yourself thinking that or feeling that way, try and gut check yourself on that a little bit. But that's it. So I think, just continue to focus on mental health, emotional health, physical health, fitness. I want to push myself, but I don't want to hurt myself because I know it takes forever to recover. And especially as frustrated as I am with my ability to work out right now, I would hate it if I had to take months off because oh my God, I have to start all over. It'd be crazy. So, all right, this video has started to go long. I will come back at you guys with pictures on plastic updates. Like I said, probably, I think he said 2 more months. Yeah. So my grind's going to really be between now and my birthday and in October, overall, but somewhere in between there, I'll come back with, updates on the plastics and hopefully all the swelling will go down and if it's just this, if this is as good as it gets, right? Like I'm saying, if there is no swelling, which I know there is, but let's pretend there isn't. This is a great starting. This is great. Like it's good. Like I'm really starting to see it now. Like, okay, I have a good base to work from. Now I could probably get some real visual results from working out. Like I'll be able to see a lot easier. There were even times before, obviously, where I could tell I was getting leaner by how loose the skin was, or in the texture of it, the wrinkledness of it. But I don't have to worry about that piece anymore. I can just actually see the definitions coming in different spots, or at least I'm hoping I will be able to see that. If not, again, if this is it, awesome. Like this is awesome. Like okay, we'll call it this, and that's it. So 7 years, man. I used to look at people who were this far out and think, well, I can't even imagine that. Like, so it's, it's if you're on the ride, you got a lot of learning and I hope you have a lot of learning to do. Let me put it that way. I hope that you don't get stuck in a silo of like, okay, this is it. I think that as you lose that, constant reinforcement of like, oh my God, you're doing so great and you're doing so great. You kind of get through year 2 and you're still okay with it. But by year 3 and you're starting to struggle a little bit more, 4 or 5, you're not getting that admiration. You're not getting those kudos. You're not as relevant to the storyline. It messes with you because that high of getting all those compliments in year 1 and year 2 and getting all that attention that you never had before and the attractions and things like that. It is a lot of fun, but it goes away. You start missing it. So when it starts to wane, I should say. Anyway, so those are my thoughts for what they're worth. Either you just lost 20 minutes of your life or it was very insightful. All right. Until next time, remember, it's good to be the king.